The Rapture mystery unveiled in Revelation 4. Have you ever wondered why the book of Revelation feels so intense, yet strangely hopeful at the same time? Why it begins with messages of encouragement to believers, but then suddenly shifts into visions of judgment, chaos and global shaking? That shift is not accidental. Right at the center of it, quiet, powerful and often overlooked, is Revelation chapter 4. And hidden within this chapter is a moment that changes everything. A moment that may reveal where the church is when the world enters its darkest hour. Before seals are opened, before trumpets sound, before judgment touches the earth, heaven opens, not symbolically, not gradually. It opens suddenly, and a voice speaks not to the world, not to nations, but to a faithful witness. That voice says, "Come up here." Those words are simple, but they carry eternal weight, because they echo every promise Jesus ever made about gathering his people to himself. They echo everything the apostles taught about a sudden call, a trumpet, and an upward meeting with the Lord. Many believers read Revelation with fear, wondering where they fit in the story. Others avoid it altogether, thinking it's too confusing or too frightening. But Revelation was never meant to hide truth from believers. It was meant to reveal Jesus more clearly, and Revelation 4 is not about wrath. It's about transition. It's about where the church is before judgment begins. It's about perspective shifting from earth to heaven. And it's about a door that opens at exactly the right moment. As we step into this chapter together, I want you to listen not as someone studying timelines, but as someone listening for the voice of Jesus. Because Revelation 4 isn't just a vision John saw long ago, it's a promise, a pattern, and possibly the clearest glimpse we have of the rapture hidden in plain sight. Part 1. The open door in heaven and the shift no one talks about. When Revelation chapter 4 begins, it does not begin with terror, judgment, or global disaster. It begins quietly, almost gently, with a phrase that is easy to overlook, but impossible to ignore. Once you understand its weight, after these things. Those words act like a hinge in the book of Revelation. They tell us plainly that something has ended and something new is about to begin. Everything John has seen up to this point belongs to one season of God's plan. Everything that follows belongs to another. In chapters 1 through 3, Jesus speaks directly to the church. He walks among the lampstands. He knows their works, their struggles, their faithfulness, and their failures. He corrects, encourages, and calls them to endure. The church is central. The word church appears again and again. Believers are the focus of heaven's attention. But when chapter 4 opens, that focus suddenly shifts. The church is no longer addressed on earth. In fact, from this point forward, the church is never mentioned again as being present during the judgments that unfold. Instead, John says he sees a door standing open in heaven, not slowly opening, not partially open, standing open. This is significant. Throughout Scripture, an open door represents access granted by God. It represents invitation, transition, and movement. But this door is not opening for judgment to come down. It is opening for someone to go up. The direction matters. Heaven opens before wrath ever begins. This moment reveals something profound about God's order. Judgment does not begin with chaos. It begins after removal. God does not pour out wrath while his redeemed remain in the line of fire. He separates first. He secures his people first. Revelation 4 shows that separation taking place, not through explanation, but through structure. The church disappears from the earthly narrative, and heaven becomes the new vantage point. This shift explains so much that otherwise feels confusing. Why does the focus of Revelation suddenly move to Israel, the nations, and the world system? Why are believers not described enduring the seals and trumpets? Why does the language change from pastoral correction to judicial action? The answer is simple but powerful. The church age has concluded. The door has opened. The scene has changed. Jesus promised that he would come again and receive his people to himself. Revelation 4 visually demonstrates that promise. The open door is not symbolic filler. It is the threshold between grace and judgment. It is the dividing line between the age of the church and the time of God's final dealings with the world. John does not see destruction first, because God's first move is not wrath. His first move is always redemption and protection of his own. This is why Revelation 4 is so often misunderstood. People rush past it to get to the dramatic events later in the book, not realizing that this quiet moment explains everything that follows. The open door tells us where the church is before judgment begins. It tells us why believers are absent from the tribulation narrative. It tells us that heaven is already populated before wrath is released. Revelation 4 is the calm before the storm, the breath between sentences, the pause where heaven opens because the time has come for the church to be removed from Earth's story. And that pause speaks louder than any trumpet or earthquake that follows. Part 2. The trumpet-like voice and the sudden upward call. As John looks at the open door in heaven, he hears a voice that instantly commands attention. He describes it as the same voice he heard before, but now it speaks like a trumpet. That description is intentional. In Scripture, the trumpet is never casual. It signals divine action, divine gathering, and divine announcement. When Paul taught about the rapture, he said it would occur at the trumpet of God. When Jesus spoke about gathering his people, he connected it to a call that could not be ignored. Revelation 4 brings those threads together in a single moment. The voice speaks directly to John and says, "Come up here." There is no explanation attached, no warning, no build-up, just a command. And immediately John is taken. This is not John deciding to go. This is heaven calling him upward. That distinction matters. The rapture is not humanity reaching for heaven. It is heaven reaching for the redeemed. The simplicity of the command is striking. 2 words, no instructions, no delay. This reflects exactly how Scripture describes the rapture. In a moment. In the twinkling of an eye, sudden, decisive. Final. When the call comes, there is no time to prepare, because preparation happens before the call, not after it. John does not pause. He does not ask questions. He does not pack up his earthly life. One moment he is on earth, and the next moment he is in heaven. That instant relocation mirrors perfectly the promise given to believers that they will be changed and caught up suddenly. Revelation 4 does not explain the mechanics of the rapture, but it shows the reality of it. The transition is immediate. What follows confirms the meaning of the call. From this moment forward, John never again views events from the earth's perspective. Everything he sees, the seals, the trumpets, the judgments, is observed from heaven. That detail is crucial. It tells us that before judgment begins, the vantage point has already shifted. The observer is no longer among those experiencing wrath. He is among those watching from above. The trumpet-like voice does not announce destruction. It announces gathering. It does not summon judgment. It summons the faithful. The call comes before the storm, not during it. This aligns perfectly with the promise that believers will be kept from the hour of trial coming upon the whole world. Revelation 4 shows that protection in action. This moment also reveals the personal nature of the rapture. The voice speaks directly. It is not a general broadcast. It is a personal summons. Jesus knows his people, and when he calls, they recognize his voice. The upward call is not frightening to those who belong to him. It is familiar. It is welcome. It is the fulfillment of hope. Revelation 4 does not argue theology. It presents a scene, an open door, a trumpet-like voice, an upward command, an immediate relocation, a new perspective. Together these elements form a picture that aligns perfectly with everything Jesus and the apostles taught about the rapture. It is not speculation. It is structure. It is placement. It is timing. When that voice speaks, earth's grip is broken, heaven becomes reality, and the story of judgment begins only after the redeemed are safely where they belong. Part 3. the instant transformation and the pattern of divine removal. Right after the voice speaks and says, "Come up here," John makes a statement that is easy to miss but incredibly important. He says, "Immediately I was in the Spirit." There is no delay, no process, no gradual movement from earth to heaven. One moment John is on Patmos, confined to the physical world, and the next moment he is fully in the presence of heaven. That word immediately tells us everything we need to know about the nature of this event. It is sudden, it is decisive, and it is entirely initiated by God. This perfectly mirrors how Scripture describes the rapture elsewhere. Paul said it would happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. That is not poetic exaggeration, it is a declaration of speed. Faster than human reaction, faster than preparation, faster than regret. Revelation 4 visually demonstrates what Paul explained doctrinally. The transition from earth to heaven is instant. What happens to John is not just about him as an individual, it is a pattern, a preview, a representation of how God moves his people out of the way before judgment begins. From this point on, John never returns to earth until the very end of Revelation. He does not witness the seals opening from the ground. He does not experience the chaos, the destruction, or the terror described later. He observes everything from heaven's perspective. That detail is crucial. It shows us where the redeemed are when judgment falls, not hiding, not enduring, not surviving, but already removed, already safe, already positioned in heaven. This is consistent with God's character throughout Scripture. Noah was lifted above the floodwaters. Lot was physically removed from the city before fire fell. The righteous are always separated before wrath is poured out. Revelation 4 follows that same divine pattern. The transformation John experiences also hints at something deeper. Earthly limitations no longer apply. Physical boundaries no longer restrain him. Heaven becomes his reality. This aligns with the promise that believers will be changed, clothed with immortality, freed from corruption. Revelation 4 does not explain the mechanics, but it shows the result: immediate access to heaven and immediate separation from what is about to unfold on earth. This instant transformation also reinforces the urgency Jesus taught. There is no moment to prepare when the call comes. Preparation happens before the call, not after. That is why Jesus repeatedly told his followers to stay awake, stay ready, and stay watchful. John's experience demonstrates why, when God moves, he moves suddenly. Revelation 4 quietly confirms that the rapture is not a gradual escape or a symbolic idea. It is a real event marked by immediacy, authority, and divine timing. One moment earth has a witness. The next moment heaven has him, and judgment only begins after that removal has taken place. Part 4. The throne room, the elders, and the redeemed already in heaven. Once John is in heaven, the first thing he sees is not chaos, confusion, or preparation for war. He sees a throne, and the one seated on that throne is calm, sovereign, and in complete control. This detail matters deeply. God is not reacting to the events that will unfold on earth. He is reigning over them. Judgment does not catch him off guard. Everything is proceeding exactly according to his plan. Surrounding the throne, John sees 24 elders seated on thrones of their own. They are clothed in white garments and wearing crowns on their heads. This description immediately sets them apart. Angels are never described this way in Scripture. Angels are servants. They do not receive crowns. Crowns are rewards given to those who have run a race, remained faithful, and overcome. These elders represent redeemed believers. They are seated, which signifies rest and authority. They are clothed in white, symbolizing righteousness. They wear crowns, which represent rewards already given. This is critical. Rewards are given after judgment for believers, not after the second coming. The fact that these elders already have crowns before the tribulation begins tells us the judgment seat of Christ has already occurred. That places the rapture before Revelation's judgments. These elders worship freely. They cast their crowns before the throne. They speak as those already redeemed from the earth, not hoping for redemption, not waiting for it. Already redeemed, already rewarded, already home. This scene takes place before a single seal is opened, before a single trumpet sounds, before wrath is poured out on the world. This answers a question many believers wrestle with. Where is the church during the tribulation? Revelation 4 gives the answer visually. The redeemed are not on earth enduring judgment. They are in heaven worshiping the one who saved them. The focus has shifted entirely. Earth prepares for judgment. Heaven celebrates redemption. The throne room scene reassures us that nothing about the end times is out of control. God reigns. His people are secure. His promises are intact. Revelation 4 and 5 show heaven fully populated with redeemed worshippers before the storm breaks on earth. That is not coincidence, it is confirmation. This moment changes how we read the rest of Revelation. The judgments that follow are not aimed at the church. The church is already with Christ. The seals, trumpets, and bowls unfold in a world that has rejected him. Meanwhile, heaven resounds with worship. Revelation 4 does not depict fear. It depicts security. It does not show believers bracing for wrath. It shows them resting before the throne, and that picture speaks louder than any argument. Part 5. Why Revelation 4 changes everything about the rapture. Once you recognize what Revelation 4 is showing, the rest of the book suddenly makes sense. Confusion begins to clear. The pieces fall into place. Revelation stops feeling like a chaotic series of disasters and starts reading like a carefully ordered story with intention, timing, and purpose. Revelation 4 is the dividing line. It is the moment where God's focus shifts from the church to the world, from grace to judgment, from invitation to accountability. This chapter explains why the church is absent from the tribulation narrative. It explains why believers are never instructed on how to survive the seals, trumpets, or bowls. It explains why Jesus returns in Revelation 19 with his saints, not for them. The saints are already with him. They were gathered earlier. Revelation 4 shows when and how that gathering takes place. Some people say the rapture is not clearly taught because the word itself does not appear in Revelation. But Revelation is a book of visions, symbols, and movements, not doctrinal explanations. It shows truth rather than defining it. And what it shows in chapter 4 aligns perfectly with everything taught elsewhere in Scripture. The church age ends, heaven opens, a trumpet-like voice calls upward. There is immediate relocation, and redeemed believers are seen in heaven before judgment begins. Revelation 4 does not introduce a new doctrine. It confirms an existing promise. It visually reinforces what Jesus said when he promised to come again and receive his people to himself. It confirms what Paul taught about a sudden catching away. It confirms the pattern God has always followed: removal before wrath. This chapter also explains why the rapture is imminent. Nothing needs to happen first. No seals must open. No Antichrist must rise. No judgment must fall. The call comes suddenly. The door opens unexpectedly. The transition is immediate. That is why Jesus repeatedly emphasized watchfulness. Revelation 4 shows why readiness matters. When the call comes, it is already too late to prepare. Revelation 4 shifts our focus away from fear and toward confidence. It reminds us that God is not reacting to events, he is orchestrating them. It reminds us that believers are not forgotten, overlooked, or left behind. They are gathered first, protected first, rewarded first, and only after that does judgment begin. Once you see Revelation 4 for what it is, the rapture is no longer a debated theory, it becomes a revealed pattern, a moment placed exactly where it belongs in the story of redemption, and it invites every believer to stop arguing about timelines and start living ready. Conclusion: the call comes before the storm. Revelation 4 quietly reveals one of the most hopeful truths in all of Scripture. Before the world is shaken, heaven opens. Before judgment falls, a voice calls upward. Before wrath is poured out, the redeemed are already home. This is not fear-driven theology. This is promise-driven hope. The rapture is not hidden to confuse believers. It is revealed to prepare them. Revelation 4 shows us that Jesus keeps his word. He gathers his people before judgment begins. He protects what belongs to him. He does not leave his bride in the path of wrath. One day, just as John heard it, the voice will speak again. It will not announce destruction. It will announce gathering. It will not summon fear. It will summon the faithful. And in a moment, faster than a heartbeat, everything will change. Until that day, the message of Revelation 4 is simple and powerful. Stay awake, stay faithful, stay ready. The door will open, the call will come, and those who belong to Jesus will hear his voice and rise to meet him.